What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I want to get into, well, the latest Jets news. We have a quarterback change, kind of, not really, kind of just moving the deck chairs around. Aaron Rodgers on with Pat McAfee. Has some thoughts on the latest leaks from New York Jets land, so let's hop right into it. We will start with the news of the day. The Jets released Tim Boyle. In comes Brett Rypien. This is the Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other. Because I don't know, like this is Tim Boyle is unserious, but like there's a certain level of unserious. Brett Rypien is also an unserious quarterback, but slightly less unserious than Tim Boyle. Like, oh man. The fact that this is the rotating cast of characters that the Jets are picking from. Anyway, okay, so he has started games this year. He started one game this year for the Rams. He was on their practice. He was elevated and played a game with the Rams, and then he went to the Seahawks practice squad, and then the Jets added him. So started against the Packers for the Rams. He went 13 of 28 in that game, which is a 46.4 completion percentage for 130 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. He started 2 games for Denver last year. There you go. There's the connection. Guess who? Nathaniel Hackett's guy. One of which was the loss to the New York Jets where Sauce Gardner picked him off. I don't know why he was testing Sauce Gardner on 4th down, but he did. And then a win, actually, over Arizona where he was like slightly okay. 197 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a 95 quarterback rating. But I would not expect him to play. At least not now. At least not this week. Maybe I shouldn't say no for sure because this is a weird season. This is a weird team. Maybe they'll run through and end up starting 5 quarterbacks. My way too early guess is that it's going to be Trevor Siemian or Zach Wilson, and that Brett Rypien is the 3rd string emergency quarterback. That would be my guess. We will see. Robert Saleh will say for sure tomorrow, but it'd be pretty wild if they signed him today on Tuesday, and then we're like, we're going to start him on Wednesday. I'm going to say it's going to be Siemian or Wilson. I lean that Siemian's going to be the guy, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they do end up going back to Zach. And for Tim Boyle, like, look, he played exactly as anyone thought he was going to. He's not a rosterable quarterback, and he gets cut. I'm sorry, that's a little bit harsh, but it's the truth. He's not a rosterable quarterback. He's someone who could come in, take snaps in the preseason, the second half of preseason games, maybe sit on a practice squad, but that's about it. That's kind of how I feel about Brett Rypien also, but this is where we are right now with the New York Jets in the quarterback spot. Aaron Rodgers was on with Pat McAfee as expected. He goes on every Tuesday in studio, so that was kind of cool today. But he had some thoughts on the Zach Wilson controversy from yesterday, if we call it that, the leaks, whatever. But he says, we need to get to the bottom of wherever this is coming from. It doesn't have a place in a winning organization. Put your name on something and stand behind it. That would make things a lot better. And then we'd have a conversation within the organization. So I don't know. Some people interpreted that as him calling the Jets a winning organization. They're like, but we're 4-8. We're not a winning organization. I'm like, no. He's saying this is happening. The Jets are a losing team, and this is happening on teams that are winning teams that are not losing teams. This shit doesn't happen. This doesn't fly. It's not acceptable. I saw some thoughts out there circling whether or not it was Tim Boyle who was the leak. Maybe it was Tim Boyle who was the leak. I don't know. To me, there is no way to know. We never will know, but Tim Boyle's gone. It doesn't matter. So maybe Aaron Rodgers guys aren't all safe after all. But he is right. I agree with him. I think it's just, it adds to the circus. It is a perceived circus right now for the New York Jets at Florham Park in New Jersey. And the last thing that I wanted to mention that Aaron Rodgers brought up that, again, I think is worthwhile to talk about. So he said they're not technically mathematically eliminated, but on a 5-game losing streak, 4-8, not playing well. Who's going to finish as a professional? Now, something that I've always kind of thought, always kind of felt like players and coaches are not actively tanking. They're not trying to lose games. Fans could talk about the tank, and maybe overall, like, general managers and decision makers could put their team and really tear it down so that you could build it back up. But no one is going, we can't win this one, so we're not going to go out there and try. Like, the coaches and the players are playing for their livelihood. So he is correct in to say who is going to finish as a professional. And I'm kind of interested in that as well. I am team go numb. Whatever happens, happens. If they win games, fine. If they lose games, fine. The only time I ever really actively rooted for a tank was in 2020. And that was because I hated Adam Gase. I thought he was a terrible coach and a bad human. Not a fan of his personality. I thought he was, divisive. I don't think he handled himself well here at all. In the following years, in 21 and 22, didn't really feel that way because, number one, in 2021, you had a young quarterback who was playing okay down the stretch. It's like, all right, let's see what happens. If they ruin the tank and win a game, then, fine, so be it. And then last year, they were alive until the very end, so there wasn't really a tank involved now. And at that point, but now there's 5 games left, and if they lose out, they probably end up with top 5 pick. But if they win a couple more games, maybe they end up picking around 10th. Or if they win 5 games in a row, which, let's be honest, is very, very slim chance of that happening. I'm at a point where I'm not going to get worked up if this team wins a game. I'm not going to get worked up if this team loses a game. It is what it is. It's on Joe Douglas or whoever is making the pick next year. I'm assuming they're keeping their staff, but if they lose 10 straight games to close their season, do you bring back all those guys? I guess so. But the moral of the story, if this guy is worth a damn at his job, he should be able to find a quality player in that first round. So who's going to finish as a professional? Which guys are going to put out there on tape that they're still trying and then the effort is still in there? Because that could happen. Like I thought we saw in the second half against the Bills and the Dolphins, the defense felt like it quit, and not that I'm blaming them for it or I'm like, oh my God, let's talk shit on this defense. They didn't do their job. No, like they're the biggest reason why they've been in games, why they've won 4 games, and why they had an opportunity to beat the Raiders and had an opportunity to beat the Falcons and so many other times throughout this season. But like you have to be able to close out your season strong and put some stuff together. And on top of this, I'll end here. If this staff is really, if we are to believe that they are all returning, closing a season for a second year in a row on an absolutely horrible, long, extended losing streak, it's not good for anybody. Quinnen Williams is going to be here, CJ Mosley, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, AVT, Mekhi Becton potentially if he's re-signed. Like guys like that, there's not going to be a ton of turnover on this roster. A lot of this core is going to be back, is the point. And there's a good chance that the GM and the coach are going to be back, whether or not that's the right decision or not. That's not what I'm saying here. But for this team, in order to show, hey, we're not going to just roll over and die, maybe there is value in that. Anyway, that's today's Jets news. Let me know your thoughts on the latest in New York Jets land down below in the comments. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.